We serve people with disabilities, and which is person-centered planning. So on your screen, you'll see the logo for the Center for Disability Empowerment. We serve Franklin, Union, Delaware, and Licking County in Ohio. We also see the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities. So this program is sponsored by the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities with the Ohio Family Network. The Ohio Family Network grant has been going on for a couple of years here, and we are 5 agencies working with 17 counties to help get families connected with each other, with individuals with disabilities get connected with each other, get connected with community services, and the goal is full inclusion. Excuse me. Also on the screen, you'll see the round circle, which is the symbol or logo for Charting the Life course. Charting the Life course goals are very much like ours at the Center for Disability Empowerment. So who are we and what do we do? Well, we are driven by choice and direction of people with disabilities. This is a person-centered plan. Our mission at CDE is to provide supports and resources for people with disabilities in order for them to be participants and contributors in their communities as they live, learn, worship, work, and play alongside people who do not have disabilities. At the Center for Disability Empowerment, we offer information referral, self and systems advocacy, youth transition for teens ages 14 through 22. We have a employment specialist. We also have myself, where I help people get out of nursing homes, finding them suitable, accessible housing, as well as working with grant. We also offer a health coordinator. Since the pandemic, we have developed that aspect of our outreach. There are 12 SILs in Ohio, and we do operate independently of each other. So tonight is our final series on sibling support for kids and teenagers with brothers and sisters with disabilities. Our speaker is Dianna Temple, the Executive Director of Ohio SIBS. So as I change
I found this on the web for sibling support for kids and teenagers with brothers and sisters with disabilities. On speaker is Dianna.
Oh. Now I just muted you, sorry. Okay. Oh, you're still muted, Deb. Oh. Hey, Deb, you're still muted. There we go.
All right. Okay. Oh boy, there's going to be a lot of editing on this this one. Hi, Mercy. Glad to have you join us. So as we prepare to meet Dianna, I just want to say I also am a sibling of a man who is now deceased, but he had severe developmental disabilities. He was nonverbal. He had autism, and he had a lot of issues with aggression. But you know, my brother, I always say my brother never spoke a day in his life, but his life still speaks volumes. My sister was a special ed teacher for 30 years, and here I am also working in the field. And the interesting thing about siblings, and Dianna might chuckle about this, is that either we're drawn towards the disability community or we want to get as far away from it, whatever. But I just think that's just a testimony that we are all different and we all have different interests. So I'm going to go ahead and let you share your screen. Make sure I have it set up ready for you. Okay. And I'll give it to you. So thanks so much, Dianna.
Can you hear me okay and see my PowerPoint? Okay. All right. Okay, so sibling support for kids and teens with brothers and sisters with disabilities. All right, so welcome. So this is kind of what I'm going to go over tonight. I'm going to welcome you to Ohio SIBS. I'm going to share my sibling story in pictures, and that'll make sense when I start doing it. And then why do young siblings need support? And then I'm going to share Ohio SIBS initiatives for children and teens, and then provide you guys resources for support for children and teens. All right, so again, my name is Dianna Temple. I'm the Executive Director of Ohio SIBS. I'm a sibling of an individual with a developmental disability, my older sister, Jackie. I have a master's degree in fine art from the University of Missouri and an occupational therapy doctorate from the University of Toledo. I also want to welcome you today to become a member of Ohio SIBS. It's free to join, and you'll be added to our listserv and learn about upcoming events and updates from the disability community. You can go to www.ohiosibs.org and you can join for free. So, and we can send you the link here at the or within the PowerPoint. So Ohio SIBS is a grassroots organization of sisters and brothers of people with disabilities that acknowledges the siblings' role in the life of a person with a disability. We support siblings throughout the lifespan by connecting them with resources and creating a community that supports the disability community. All right, so our founder, Dr. Tom Fish, first became interested in sibling issues shortly after arriving at the Ohio State Nysanger Center in 1979. In the following year, Tom and Liz Fitzgerald ran their first groups for SIBS. Over the next 30 years, Tom and his grad students ran as many as 46-week programs. Tom soon began publishing about sibling issues in his 1980 paper that revealed 90% of adolescent SIBS he worked with lacked awareness and understanding of future plans for their brothers and sisters. He wrote these kids had varying degrees of anxiety regarding how their SIBS with disabilities would be cared for and what their role would be in that care. Tom and colleagues, including Barb Seferis and Sarah Hall, started what later became Ohio SIBS 21 years ago. Ohio SIBS also had transition retreats for teens, SIBS, and their brothers and sisters with a disability, and they helped coordinate Legislative Advocacy Day a couple times. So our mission at Ohio SIBS is to empower siblings and advocates to create a better world inclusive of people with disabilities. Our vision is a connected community that leads, supports, and advocates people with disabilities. Our core values include individuals with disabilities having the same rights as all members of society to dignity, respect, and the opportunity to grow and be productive members of their community. Siblings of individuals with disabilities can have powerful positive impact on their siblings' experiences and are uniquely positioned to help ensure that present and future care in partnership with service organizations and government. In promoting the rights of our brothers and sisters and all of individuals with disabilities, we are committed to advocating for policies and services that meet their needs. Siblings can be of great support to one another to enhance both our lives and the lives of our siblings. Okay. So my sibling story. So I'm going to share it in pictures. Okay, so my sister Jackie was born in the early 80s. She was my parents' first child. My mom was an OBGYN nurse at the local hospital. My dad was an engineer and worked as a supervisor at the local factory, and he also was a farmer. My parents do not talk much about when Jackie was born because I think it was very stressful for them. Jackie was born several weeks late, and my mom experienced birth trauma. Jackie began having seizures when she was just a few weeks old. My mom knew they were seizures, but she had to advocate for Jackie before anyone believed her. So Jackie spent her early days on our 90-acre farm. She had my parents' full attention as they worked with her and got her the help she needed. Jackie learned to sit up when she was 2 years old. My parents were so proud of her. My mom dedicated her time to working with Jackie, and she had a lot of seizures in her early years, and it was difficult to find the correct medications to control them. One of the goals Jackie and everyone on her team wanted for her is to help her to walk. Jackie walked with support for a very long time. She would have mom and dad help her walk, or she would ride on her little horsey. Here's Jackie's walker that she used. And then she also rode on a real horse, well, a pony rather, my dad would rig up belts so that she could ride by herself. It was one of her favorite things to do. They did not know at the time, but they were helping her learn what it felt like to walk. All right. However, when Jackie turned 5 years old, her life was about to change forever. I was born in the late 80s, and Jackie loved hanging out with me. We played with the same toys, and she absolutely loved to hear me cry. We were best buddies, and it was a funny thing how very young children can understand that someone needs more support. My daughter Nora is currently 18 months old, and last weekend she tried to share her little crackers with Jackie. She also likes the crackers, but she gave them to her instead of eating them all. At this age, I understood too, and if Jackie needed help, I helped her. Even though I knew Jackie needed some help, it was only later in life that you start to realize that people have a different expectation for the both of us. People would focus on that Jackie couldn't walk, talk, or participate how they expected. As a sibling, you are slowly exposed to disability. You start to notice the expectation of others, society, and you are hyper aware of how your sibling is perceived and yourself. Jackie met her goal and learned to walk when she was 8 years old, about the time I was also learning to walk. Then there were three. Emily was born also in the late 80s, and we were only 18 months apart. Again, one of Jackie's favorite things is crying babies. She has a very good memory, and I think she remembers those early years where she had to listen to her sisters cry all the time. She currently loves to hear my daughter cry and her other three nieces as well. Us sisters lived inside a perfect bubble on our farm. When you're a sibling of a person with a disability, you learn about disability in reverse. And what I mean by that is you learn that Jackie is a person with hopes and dreams, and she is a beautiful person inside and out, and that is all that matters. Then you learn about this thing called disability. You learn about what she can't do and all the expectations she cannot meet. You learn about people's perceptions and how they treat your sister, your family, and yourself differently. But you never unlearn that she is a person with hopes and dreams with a beautiful life. So because of this, our family was very tight-knit, and we still are. When you're in a family with a child with a disability, you have to be there for each other. Having a child with a disability and a total of 3 children was not easy for my mom. My dad worked 2 jobs, and my mom had all 3 of us at home and needed support sometimes at the same time. I will never know how she did it, and I will never forget her inner strength. She has always been my role model. I have never saw her put herself first in any situation. She's still my sister's caregiver 24/7. She spent a lot of time with Jackie's care. My parents were full of love and support, but my mom did not have a lot of time to spend with us because of Jackie's needs and advocating for things. But she did still spend a lot of time with us. And my dad also had to work a lot to support our family. But Emily and I had each other, and we were each other's support system. We spent most days playing like kids should. Since Emily and I were so responsible, my parents let us play with things that were not necessarily toys. Now, I know it is common now, but our parents used to let us use a very large camcorder that used to have the tapes in it, and it was very expensive at the time. And we made movies throughout our childhood, and I started using it when I was only 7 years old, and Jackie was in them too. On our farm, Jackie was always included. We had cousins over all the time, and we had an infinite amount of things to do. I saw Jackie just get to be a kid and get to be included. However, in the outside world, things are very different. There were places Jackie couldn't go and things she couldn't do. You have to piece together why people are treating your sister differently, and you question why she's not able to participate in what you participate in and why she attends a different school. And you question why people are also treating you differently. Jackie attended a school for children with disabilities. We would visit her school in the summers. And Pam, pictured on the left, was my sister's teacher, and she was also a sibling. She included us in a lot of different activities with Jackie's school, and she was very supportive of Emily and I. Jackie didn't always come with us to church, vacations, or my school events because she would cry out if she was uncomfortable, or maybe even have a seizure if she was overstimulated. If she did go somewhere and did cry out, people stared, and you could tell that they wanted us to leave. My parents tried over and over again, but ultimately became burnt out of trying to take her to community events and local places. We had friends over, but close friends that we trusted. Sleepovers were sometimes hard because Jackie was a light sleeper and she would wake up and want to come downstairs because she wanted to join our sleepover. And but it would be like 5 in the morning and she would try to crawl on us, wake us up, and then she'd want to listen to her Disney movies really loud. Emily and I attended a different school than Jackie, and many of our classmates may have not known that we had an older sister. Looking back, we both wish we could have been at our school and wish she could have been at our school in some way, and wish we could have shared how important she was to us. At age 10, I began to babysit my sisters for short periods of time while my dad was sleeping because he worked nights. Please note, it wasn't very long that my parents had me do this, and they were, but it got increasingly more as I got older. My family called me the big little sister. I continued to babysit throughout junior high and high school. My sister did not have a waiver, and I was one of my parents' natural support systems. I knew all of Jackie's routines, and so did Emily. I could make her lunch, make it the correct consistency, and give her her medicine. I even knew what to do if she had a grand mal seizure. And in fact, there were times, one in particular, that Emily and I had to take care of her during a bad seizure. Jackie had it in the bathroom. I cradled her head and protect her from hitting anything in the bathroom, and Emily stayed by her feet to make sure she did not hurt herself. After the seizure was over, we lifted her out of the bathroom floor. And after that, she also loses her ability in her left side of her body. So we helped her to rest on the couch, and we immediately called my parents. Growing up in a small town is also difficult for siblings with people with disabilities and people with disabilities because there are less services available. When your dad is a farmer, you can't just move where there are more services. Emily and I and a few other close family members became respite to our parents. It is unfortunate that our system does not better support respite services since the majority of people with disabilities live at home with their families. Siblings of all ages are this invisible support system. Being a sibling was hard at times, and Jackie went through a period of time where she had screaming episodes related to her seizure medication. Family vacations were something I looked forward to. I was sad that Jackie could not come with us, but I also really liked the extra time to spend with my parents. Jackie loved pictures and home movies, and we would film and photograph as much of the vacation as we could and take it home to share with her. That was one of the reasons I became a photographer, was because of sharing these pictures with Jackie and that they could communicate without using words. So that's another reason why I have so many pictures from my childhood, is because we took them a lot for Jackie and let her have them and keep them in her albums. And so she could look at all of the pictures. Another way that Emily and I would cope would be to join a lot of extracurriculars. We excelled in school. We were in choir, art, music, track, softball, cross country, cheerleading, 4-H, and the list goes on and on and on. When Jackie graduated from her school, many things changed with her services. She went to Dayhab and was part of adult services, which I knew nothing about. My sister received a waiver, but we still did not have additional support until she turned 22, the year I went off to college. Then direct service providers started coming into the home so that my mom and dad could attend Emily's sporting events in high school, and they could also visit family or go to dinner every once in a while. At this time in my life, I can honestly say I was burnt out. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I didn't want to be a nurse or teacher like my younger sister or my future husband. I ended up studying fine art photography. I was not connected to the disability community whatsoever, and I didn't want to be connected to it. I had a lot of anxiety about the future, life decisions like my career, could I make enough money as an artist? And if I had to take care of Jackie, of course not. So what do I do? It's already difficult dating, but who do I marry that would be able to understand my situation? I can't speak for all siblings, but I have spoken to enough siblings in this age group. Big life decisions are already hard, and then when you add in your family factor, it becomes paralyzing. Being in college was my freedom, although I went home almost every weekend because I worried about my family. I ended up studying photography and biology at the same time, although I didn't know what I wanted to do. Eventually, I was challenged by my photography teachers to photograph my sister. I decided to do a documentary photography project on my sister's workshop in Dayhab. I did not know it at the time, but this project would change the trajectory of my life. I worked hard to get the permissions to photograph and even had to meet with the superintendent about my project. I would drive over an hour a couple days a week to photograph Waycraft Industries. I got to see what my sister was doing during the day, and she always wanted me to take her home, which I often did. I learned so much from this project, and it was the first time I realized that Jackie was within this world that I did not fully understand. But I also understood that this world would help me learn about what I needed to for my future. So it was all over from there. To my surprise, I felt welcomed in the disability community, and I felt as though I fit in, and I couldn't believe that I never wanted to be a part of it. I joined AmeriCorps the following year in my college and became a recreation assistant and a Special Olympics coach for Wood County Board of DD. I even got the chance to go to the World Special Olympic Games in Athens, Greece with Amanda Gump, who ran the 400 and the 800. I decided to become an occupational therapist as well. I studied self-advocacy, family-centered practices, and researched teen siblings of people with disabilities. Throughout college, I provided respite for another family and worked with Drew for 7 years. I also helped to start a photography program at BGSU where students photograph people with disabilities working in their community. I became a people first facilitator, and I worked at the county board for several years as an occupational therapist and a health supports coordinator. I continue to photograph people with disabilities, and I received a master's degree from the University of Missouri. I completed a project called Wheelchair Tornadoes with my friend Matt Ebert about the need for more pictures of people with disabilities and the need of accessibility in art galleries. So these are like time-lapse pictures of Matt Ebert in his power wheelchair. We also collaborated with occupational therapist Bill James and biomedical engineering students to create an accessible frame that used eye gaze technology to lower and adjust the height of a frame on the wall for a person in a wheelchair in a gallery. All of these things wouldn't have been possible had I decided if I had not decided to visit my sister's Dayhab. My sibling bond with Jackie was one of the most important parts of my life. Siblings all over Ohio have the gift of growing up beside their sibling with a disability. The opportunity to share that gift with others becomes inclusion. Siblings are a bridge between worlds. Our world that is the world that is not accepting of people with disabilities, and a world that understands how to include people and support them. Siblings every day have their foot in both worlds. So why do young siblings need support? Okay. So starting off with some demographics, it's estimated that 645,000 children have a disability in Ohio, and many of these children have sisters and brothers. 22% of Ohio children have an intellectual disability, and 34.5% of children have healthcare needs. Among Ohio children that have an intellectual or developmental disability, 43.6 have a developmental disability, almost 30% have autism, 41% need or get special therapy, 57% have an emotional development or behavioral problem which they need to get treatment and/or counseling, and 39% have difficulty in speaking or communicating. Siblings are part of a family system. When a child has a disability, they experience more trauma and more stress. Predictors of stress on families include the behaviors of the child with a disability, the coping skills of the parent. They also collectively experience disability stigma in the world. Ohio children with disabilities are almost 1.5 times more likely than children without disabilities to live in poverty. Among Ohio children with disabilities, about 45% fall below the federal poverty line. Ohioans with disabilities are more likely to live with family or independently than people with disabilities across the United States. Only half of Ohio families who need help in coordinating their care of their child with a disability report receiving the help they need. Extensive research on people with disabilities and their families recognizes that supports are most effective when provided to the family, so they have the capacity and knowledge to provide assistance. Strategies to support the family unit must be a fundamental consideration across all agencies, at all levels of each agency, and in all aspects of planning, and this includes siblings. Siblings of people with disabilities, or SIBS, often grow up to be allies, caregivers, and advocates with their brothers and sisters. Some of the roles include the following. They are a lifelong friend helping to navigate relationships with friends, families, or significant others. They may be a natural support. They may provide care and/or support with daily life. They may help them with decision-making, assist with doctor's appointment or other supportive services like therapies. Teens may drive their brothers or sisters or help them with transportation. Okay, these are roles specific to children, looking at the research. So children are fulfilling caregiving roles. They believe they were going to be responsible for the future care of their sibling. They may serve as interventionists or teachers. Experiences, they experience increased patience, kindness, and supportiveness having a sibling with a disability. They're more accepting of differences. They're compassionate and helpful. They have higher empathy. They have more insight into coping with challenges. They have a lack of attention from parents. They may experience embarrassment and guilt. As with childhood, adolescence brings positive and negative sibling experiences. For example, due to their brothers and sisters with a disability, adolescent siblings report increased tolerance, understanding of disability and diversity, and shared moments of fun and pleasure. On the other hand, adolescent siblings of individuals with disabilities also report increased pity, anxiety, and guilt. They also experience roles of protectors of their brother or sister, providers of respite to their parents, and that was something I experienced, and then advocates in family or school partnerships. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I didn't change the slide, so that's the slide that went with that. Okay. All right, sibling isolation. So many young siblings experience feelings of isolation when they're excluded from information available to other family members, ignored by service providers, have limited time to openly communicate their thoughts, questions, and feelings and concerns with parents, or lack strong connections to peers to share their feelings about their siblings. In 2010, at TEDx San Antonio, Alicia Arnas had a talk called Recognizing Glass Children. And she grew up with a younger brother with autism. And Lynn Calloway is also having a SIB talk tonight where she's going to discuss this TED Talk. She said, "We are called glass children because our parents are so consumed by the needs of our brothers and sisters that when they look at us, they look right through us, as though we're made of glass. We know that the problems that we have, the things that we face, are insignificant compared to what our parents are dealing with and our siblings are dealing with. So we are very quiet." So siblings experience isolation if they're excluded from information, ignored by service providers, they have a limited time to share their thoughts and feelings with parents, and if they don't have a strong connection with a friend or someone they can share their feelings with. So there's also a mention in the research about a pressure to achieve. So often siblings may seem like good kids, overachievers, or perfectionists. Possible reasons are siblings do not want to cause parents more stress. Siblings may be seeking attention in that way. Siblings may want to compensate for their brothers and sisters with disabilities, or they may be seizing opportunities and not taking life for granted. Other sources of stress for children and teens are embarrassment around peers. And it was also noted in the research that specifically teens have a lot of embarrassment about their families anyway, and disability or a child with a disability might just add to that, or maybe not even add to that. And it's just that teens are embarrassed to be around their families in general. Jealousy regarding the amount of time parents spend with their brother or sister, frustration over not being able to engage or get a response from their brother or sister, being the target of aggressive behaviors, not taking for granted opportunities that are there for brothers and sister could not do, or concerns regarding their parents' stress and grief, or concerns over roles of future caregiving. So the sibling experience. Siblings of people with disabilities have varying degree of outcomes from their experiences due to many factors. Some siblings have an overly positive experience, developing a strong emotional connection with their sibling, having more opportunities to grow as a person and advocate, developing greater patience and understanding, and developing a greater acceptance for all people. Positives include enhanced adaptability, tolerance, and empathy. However, there are some negative findings in the research in regards to having a brother or sister with a disability, often from higher stress situations that include feelings of resentment towards their sibling with a disability, feelings of isolation from peers who did not understand what it's like to have a sibling with a disability, taking on too much responsibility, particularly with caregiving, and facing discrimination from society. Siblings are known to have higher rates of anxiety and depression, difficulty with peers, and low-income families are especially vulnerable with less access to resources. Differences in family include family structure and culture, financial stability, community and access to services and supports, recognition of sibling support by parents and/or professionals, birth order and gender, diagnosis of the sibling with a disability, and medical, behavioral, or support needs of the sibling with a disability. Okay, so opportunities and milestones. So siblings often see themselves as advantaged or privileged with opportunities. They feel guilt about getting advanced education, married, and having children. They may feel guilt with day-to-day opportunities, playing sports, attending an event, or having friends. Siblings understand disability discrimination, and they know that they have more opportunities. So some siblings with disabilities want to do the same things as their brothers and sisters without disabilities. Some describe their life as different and are accepting of that difference. Understanding young people with disabilities' broad range of possible views means that the awkward sense of inequity that some young adult siblings of people with disabilities feel may not always reflect what their brothers and sisters actually experience. It may reflect more difficult or troubled view of what disability means in their brother or sister's life than what their brother or sister actually feels themselves. So sometimes what this is kind of saying is that Siblings sometimes feel guilt over some of their milestones and opportunities because they know that their brother or sister is not able to do them or doesn't get a chance to do it when they do it. And this is kind of saying, like, we don't have enough information about what people with disabilities actually feel about this. And we really need to find out that information instead of just feeling guilty about it without communicating or talking to your brother or sister with a disability, or if you're able to. Okay, so what do siblings need? So in childhood, they need more information and guidance about disability and the support needs of brothers and sisters with a disability. In adolescence, they need to build social support network. And in adulthood, they need future planning, understanding the adult disability system, and being an advocate. Okay, so here's a little bit more detailed information about what siblings need. They need to know about their siblings' disability and its implications, treatments and services for their brothers and sisters, plans their parents have for their siblings' future, the genetic implication of their siblings' disability, how to effectively advocate for their brother or sister, and services for adults with disabilities. Siblings need opportunities to meet their peers, discuss common joys and concerns with other siblings, learn how other siblings address problematic situations frequently faced by brothers and sisters, and discuss their current and future roles in the life of their sibling who has a disability. Siblings need parents who understand siblings' lifelong and ever-changing concerns, learn proven strategies to minimize siblings' concerns and maximize their opportunities, provide siblings with information and opportunities to meet their peers, plan for their future, the future of their child with an intellectual disability, and involve their typically developing children in this planning. They also need to value the right to self-determination for each of their children. Siblings need service providers who understand siblings' lifelong and ever-changing concerns, proactively provide brothers and sisters with information, create programs specifically for siblings, and make systematic changes to include brothers and sisters in their working definition of family. Okay, so if you're explaining disability information to younger children, you need to make sure you adjust your information for your child's age and understanding. Young children may use the words they hear, but not understand the full meaning of those words. Always let them ask questions to gauge their understanding and what they want to know. Explaining disability information to teens. Teens have reported confusion about learning about their siblings' disability. They have so much access to information, but they need help sorting through it. Teens have, sorry about that. Teens are thinking about their future, and it's important to let them talk about it. In transition age to adulthood, we begin to see more of a focus on advocacy and guardianship concerns of siblings who are aware of the long-term issues that they will face. In reviews of sibling research, experts have noted that siblings in adulthood are often required to have multiple roles in marriage, their own family, and their career. The impact of having a sibling with a disability is complex and multifaceted. Research findings have also noted that siblings' concerns begin to transform over time. For instance, siblings with disabilities may become more concerned with what happens to their parents. Adult siblings without disabilities from early age are also concerned about their future choices of spouse and having children. Please don't be afraid to talk to your children about the future and make sure it's in an age-appropriate way. In the field of developmental disabilities, there's often an unwritten assumption that family members can and must get along with each other. Sometimes family members, even when no disability is present, choose not to be with each other for a multitude of reasons. This remains the case with people with disabilities and siblings as well. People with disabilities are allowed to not prefer their brothers and sisters with disabilities in their lives, just as siblings without disabilities are allowed to not want to take significant roles in the lives of their brothers and sisters with disabilities. By giving siblings with and without disabilities constant and consistent opportunities to select what they do and do not want to be involved in, you create better relationships between everyone over the lifetime of the sibling relationship. Okay, so the sibling bond. The good news is that researchers have found that siblings without disabilities are pretty much like anyone else, and at least emotionally speaking, they view their relationship with siblings with disabilities as not much different than other sibling relationships. This suggests that cultivating meaningful, emotionally centered relationships between siblings in general may be the most critical task for families who want to create lasting sibling bonds. So why should we support siblings? We should support siblings of people with disabilities to inspire advocates and leaders that support their brothers and sisters, create better adult relationships between siblings and their brothers or sisters with a disability, decrease anxiety about the sibling's future or future role, support siblings in their local communities, and empower siblings to support people with disabilities in their community. Okay, so our Ohio SIBS Sibling Support Initiative is to increase access to sibling support groups to children and teens across Ohio, including Appalachian and rural areas. Our Sibling Support Initiative seeks to increase sibling support for children ages 7 to 12, especially in rural and Appalachian regions across the state of Ohio. The program model, SIB Shops, will be used to engage siblings in the disability community from a young age, foster positive relationships between siblings, and help brothers and sisters with disabilities reduce anxiety about the future by creating a local place of support in their community. We believe that the county boards are a community for all families. We are also developing a curriculum with the OSU Nice Center LEND trainee program for adolescent siblings ages 13 to 17. Okay, so what are SIB Shops? SIB Shop programming was created to give siblings a place to talk about their lives with other children that understand. SIB Shops was created by the Sibling Support Project in Washington to address the needs of young siblings of people with disabilities. SIB Shops are best described as opportunities for brothers and sisters of children with disabilities to obtain peer support and education within a recreational context. They often reflect an agency's commitment to the well-being of the family member most likely to have the longest relationship with a person with a disability. So SIB Shops should be fun to attend, provide peer support and information within a recreational context. It may be therapeutic to attend, but is not considered therapy and utilizes a wellness approach. So current SIB Shops in Ohio are Autism Society of Northwest Ohio, University Hospitals Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital of Columbus, Bridgeway Academy, Children's Hospital of Cincinnati, and Ottawa County Board of DD. So the University of Washington researchers surveyed adults who had participated in SIB Shops as children to measure the long-term impact. They found that SIB Shops offered the same kind of peer support that parallels a parent support group. 90% of respondents said SIB Shops had a positive effect on the feeling they had for their sibling with a disability. So that's something we'd like to see. SIB Shops taught coping strategies to over 67% of the participants. 75% of the participants reported that SIB Shops positively affect their adult lives. And 94% said that they would recommend SIB Shops to others. The study concluded the positive effects of SIB Shop programs are not only apparent but enduring. These findings suggest that the biggest beneficiaries of SIB Shops are likely to be the SIBs who have disabilities. When siblings are supported as they grow up, it increases the likelihood that they will elect to remain lovingly involved in the lives of their brothers and sisters with disability as adults. So the goals of SIB Shops is to meet other siblings, usually for the first time, have fun, play games, and laugh, and talk about the good and not so good parts of having a sibling with a disability with others who get it, and learn about the services that their brother or sister receives. Okay, so this is the exciting part. We have partnered with an additional 8 counties that will begin training their facilitators in early 2023. We have specifically sought out counties that are located in rural or Appalachian areas with little access to sibling support. Again, we feel that the county boards can provide a local place of support that is accessible to families and increases the likelihood that siblings will have support. So our partners are the Marion County Board of DD, Miami County Board of DD, Ross County, Mahoning County Board of DD, Athens County, Knox County, Wood County, and then Ottawa County is going through a transition. So they also joined our pilot program, and they've had a program for a long time. So this is currently what sibling support looks like in Ohio. And after our pilot project, this is what sibling support will look like for children in Ohio. So the benefits of including siblings are serving the entire family that supports the person with a disability. Siblings can feel supported by their community. Siblings can become advocates and leaders to support their brothers and sisters, and siblings can naturally include and support their brothers and sisters and others with disabilities in their community. So Ohio SIBS' ongoing role is to bring awareness of sibling support to Ohio counties, initiate and sustain sibling support in Ohio counties, host annual trainings for SIB shop facilitators, provide ongoing support and resources to siblings across the lifespan, and collect data on the effectiveness of sibling support. So our teen pilot project, I explained that we are working with the Ohio State University Nysonger Center to develop a teen curriculum with the LEN trainee program. We are using the photo voice method of using photography to create a conversation and connection with peers. The upcoming pilot project, the students will be testing in March, and they actually need volunteers right now for this program. So if you are in close to OSU and you have a sibling that would like to participate in this, you can contact Mackenzie Ackerman. Okay. And I think they're taking ages 14 to 22. So it will be a mix of in person, and then the rest of the sessions will be on Zoom. So please contact either me or Mackenzie Ackerman if you know someone that is interested in participating in our pilot project. Okay, so resources for siblings. Deb is going to share links in the chat for anyone that wants these direct links for these resources. I'm going to open up the chat as well just to. Okay. Oops, sorry. Okay, so as soon as we kind of hit June here, we are going to have lots of SIB shops available for kids in Ohio. So in Northwest Ohio, the Toledo Autism Society of Northwest Ohio will be offering SIB shops, Ottawa County Board and Wood County Board of DD. In Northeast Ohio, Cleveland, the University Hospitals Rainbow Babies and Children's, and Mahoning County Board of DD. In Southeast Ohio, Athens County Board of DD will be offering SIB shops. In Southwest Ohio, Children's Hospital of Cincinnati. In Central Ohio, the Marion County Board, Columbus Children's Hospital of Columbus, Bridgeway Academy, Knox County Board of DD, Coshocton County Board of DD is going to team up with Knox County, the Miami County Board of DD, and Ross County Board of DD. We will get this information up on our website soon, and we have an additional 20 county boards of DD that are interested in starting SIB shops in 2024. So well, just to mention, if you want some information on SIB shops, please contact me at dtemple@ohiosibs.org, and I can try to get you linked up with someone. And if you don't have a SIB shop available in your county, I might be able to ask the nearest county if you're able to attend, or try to find you a resource if you need it. Okay, so resources for siblings. So there's this thing called SIB Teen. It's a Facebook group where teenage SIBs of people with disabilities can connect with others who get it. It's a fun and thoughtful group where members share unique concerns, joys, frustration, and information with others who truly understand. So it is a closed Facebook group, and it means you have to belong to SIB Teen. And they don't even let organizations like Ohio SIBS into SIB Teen. So it's a very closed group specifically for teens to talk about issues. So the link, Deb is going to send the link in the chat. Okay. And then there's another closed Facebook group also called SIB 20. So SIB 20 is a Facebook group where 20-something SIBs of people with disabilities can connect to others. And that will also be in the chat. So it's very similar to SIB Teen, but it's specifically for 20-somethings. And then I didn't include this just because this was for children and teens, but there's also SIBnet for adults. So we have recently partnered with Boundless Health, and they are going to be providing counseling services specifically for siblings of people with disabilities. And they also may be going through trainings specifically about siblings. So they have created sibling meetups and provide sibling counseling, and they are in a lot of areas throughout Ohio. So I have, there is a phone number that Deb has that she will share that you are able to call to see if you have services in your area, if you are looking for counseling services. Okay, so this is SIB Talk. So SIB Talk is a program geared toward adults, but we invite people of any age to our information sessions. So the virtual meetups, we do ask that you are 21 and older, but the information sessions are for anyone and family members that want to come. So we have an information session on March 30th, on May 18th, September 28th, and November 30th. And we have our topics listed here, and it's also on our website, and you can sign up through Eventbrite with a link on our website. So SIB Talk is, So SIB Talk is going to be led by Lynn Calloway, and the information sessions are where we invite guests to talk about sibling issues. And then that's all through Zoom. Okay. So Siblings with a Mission is an organization that is out of Cincinnati, but it is an international organization, and it is ran by Nathan Grant, and they support siblings and families of individuals with complex health conditions and developmental disabilities. They also have what is called a symposium, and it's later in July, and we will be posting information about that on our Facebook page when the information comes out. So I would encourage you to attend that if you're in the Cincinnati area. Okay, so the Sibling Leadership Network, we are a chapter of the Sibling Leadership Network, and the states in blue are the states that are involved in the Sibling Leadership Network. And they have a website full of lots of information, and they also provide different events, and they have a conference every other year. And you can sign up and become a member of the Sibling Leadership Network as well. The Sibling Leadership Network has a podcast, and I really enjoy these. And Lynn Calloway is actually on one of these podcasts, a recent one. She is one of our board members and our facilitator of SIB Talk. So you can find this on the Sibling Leadership Network page. I am putting the link in the chat. I don't know why these are automatically going. I apologize. And you can check those out. So some books for children. I've just, there are a lot out there, but I'm just giving you a few to kind of look up. So there's a book called Just Because, and Rebecca Elliott introduces the issue of disability to young children through the celebration of sibling friendship. So I guess it slowly unfolds that the sibling has a disability, kind of like I was talking about in how I was learning about disability as a child. And then in the book, My Brother Charlie, Ryan talks about her twin brother, and that has autism. Charlie has a lot of things at which he is great, and My Brother Charlie is a perfect for the young sibling of a child with autism and will encourage readers of all ages to see the good in anyone on the autism spectrum. And then the book, Views from Our Shoes, 5 siblings share their experiences as brothers or sisters of someone with a disability. Their essays featured a range from siblings who are 4 to 18 years old. And then for teens, I am suggesting the Sibling Survival Guide. So it focuses on concerns and identified in a survey of hundreds of siblings. It talks about statistics and research about siblings, feelings, impacts on life decisions, caring for multiple generations, aging and disability, taking care of yourself, getting services and advocacy, and future planning. The Sibling Slam book is a brutally honest way, or a brutally honest, like they have different just little blurbs all over in the book that talk about siblings and their experiences and their opinions of siblings without disabilities. And then Demystifying Disability is an approachable guide to being thoughtful, informed ally to people with disabilities, with steps of what to do and what not to do and how you can help make the world a more inclusive place. So siblings of people with disabilities, day in and day out with little recognition and with much humility, integrity, and grace, give